Jahr, Germany, Friedrich Bamberg, Germany, Cancellation, Romania.
Welcome back for the final time to Sigulda in Latvia. The last race of the 2025 calendar year brings us to a brief pause in proceedings before we rush headlong into the new year and the Olympic Games coming over the horizon fast in February. Like rabbits in the headlights we are. But before that, we've got to deal with this Sigulda track, and it is not for the faint-hearted. This is no get in, get out, job done. This is a very busy track. You can see on the map there, 2 straights at the bottom. There are 2 at the top as well, but they're pretty short, and the first is off the start. Plunge down into turn 1. It's quite a steep start. You need a very explosive start. Decent amount of pressure in turn 1, sort of pressure and a bit, and a little straight into turn 2. And here you can give away so much. 3 to 4, you can skid and give away all your speed. Through 5 and into 6, that's an important transition, sets you up for the labyrinth. 7th, 8 here, 9, and then corner 10. And the extra 10 leads you into 11, key to speed to the line. 11, 12 transition, and then from 13, this quick 13, 14 crossover, very tough, but it leads onto a big long straight out of 14, into 15, and again, clean exit required because it's uphill here into 16. This is a 270-degree Kreisel, and there's the finish line. So it is all over in a real hurry. It is like being in a washer-dryer. Everything comes at you in a rush. And if you steer wrong onto any corner, it does not happen in isolation. There'll be 2, 3, 4 corners that follow that will be even wronger. Air temperature up to a balmy +6 degrees and the ice at -4. It will be frosty again for the second race of this 2-man double race weekend. Now, almost everybody, unlike in the Olympic Games, has changed their brakemen for the second day of action. That's so that others get a race, but also so that the guys that started yesterday get a rest, because it is physically a pretty demanding track. Of course, the driver has to go again. There's no getting away from that, I'm afraid. That's just the way it is. But for the drivers particularly, 4 heats over 2 days. We only ever do that once a year, apart from here in Sigulda. We do it in the World Championships every year, and once every 4 years, we do it in the Winter Olympic Games. So it is, like Lillehammer's double 4-man last week, a dress rehearsal, getting your mindset around the same track, 2 days in a row, the same sled. What are you going to do with setup? How are you going to approach it? How do you put yesterday's result behind you, good or bad? All of that. So in our start list, we have 25 sleds. Adam Edelman of Israel kicks us off. Likely winners are probably to be found in the German sleds. So Lochner, Amor, Friedrich, and then right to the tail of the field, trying to make it into the top 20. So we are ready to kick off the final race of 2025, the second 2-man bobsleigh of the weekend here in Sigulda. Adam Edelman, change of brakeman for most sleds, but Menachem Ken was with Adam yesterday, remains in the sled today. I did a 4th World Cup for the driver as a bobsled pilot, but he raced as a skeleton slider as well in a former career at World Cup and World Championship level. And Adam was a 2018 Winter Olympian for Israel in skeleton. It's been a tough job over the last couple of seasons, keeping the team together. The brakemen having to be flown in and out for races, as they're all doing national service as well. So fighting against the logistics to keep it going. Little late off 11. Not a bad looking run so far, and he's gone from 13 to 14. Now, if they can stay tucked in, they might just get to the finish line. Oh, that's uncomfortable. They might get to the finish line, in which case they would be allowed to go again in the second heat. Now, the Kreisel luckily rolls downhill, and so the sled gets across the line, does stop the clock. So should they wish to go again, they can do. And although nobody likes to crash, less than that, people do not like to leave a track with the crash as your last memory, particularly when now there's a Christmas New Year break. Okay, so high early into 11, holds the line, a little late on the exit. So he's a little late on 11. You can see him there rolling down, hits the wall, gets knocked away into 12, and then late out of 13, and then the sled effectively trips up over the corner, and all of the weight of the humanity inside it rolls it over onto the cowl. Now, it's as uncomfortable as it is noisy, and again an indication that this track is not to be taken lightly by anybody. You can see how much the sled polishes the ice. You can already see how frosty the ice is. There's about 1/4 of an inch of frost on the ice once it gets to get frosting because it's so damp here. So there'll be a mandatory 5-minute pause as Adam Edelman and Menachem Ken are recovered, or rather the sled is. They look like they were getting out under their own steam. Everybody now not just wearing helmets, obviously, but also wearing burns vests under their lycra for exactly that reason, because it's the friction with the ice and the pressure of a 1/4-ton sled pushing you down that causes those friction burns. The skin burns very easily if you are not wearing a burns vest. The burns vests are a sort of shoulder covering, like a t-shirt almost, that kind of half sleeve length, but made of Kevlar, a Kevlar weave. So Kevlar bulletproof material. It's very resilient. It helps resist the heat of the friction, boiling your skin, basically, bubbling your skin off like any other burn, like a sunburn or a burn from a flame or a hot object. So the friction is, particularly with the weight of the sled. I mean, the sled obviously has its own weight, but also, 190 odd kilos, but also the weight of the bodies in it, that's all pressing you down. So next up is Suk Yun Jin. Now, interesting story with this young man, 35 years of age, spent a full career as a very successful brakeman for Korea, and then after the 2022 games, Korea AWR, a sporting career for Korea as a brakeman, and then after 22 games started driving, and now as we head into 2024 he is working his way up into the World Cup as a driver. He's got Chae Byung-do behind him. Chae in just his second World Cup 2-man start, and he replaces Park Samuel, who was in the sled yesterday. In fact, Samuel Park kind of returning to the team as well. Apart from yesterday, his only other 2-man race, Samuel Park, was in February 2020. So much more of a 4-man push starter. Now, no 4-man this weekend. The track is simply too small and too tight. And you'll see that from the 2-man sled. A lot of these transitions are hard work, even in a 2-man. I mean, essentially what you want is the bobsleigh equivalent of a unicycle, but we don't have those. So you need a shorter sled, or actually you need a much slower sled, which is what the track was designed for in the 70s. So this is an old track and built for slow, old sleds. And these sleds are not slow. So the team getting ready. We've had the 1-minute signal, so the sled is on its runners on the ice. And then as the start clocks start, it'll be lifted over into the start grooves. And the team get ready to go. So Suk Yun Jin of Korea made his World Cup debut yesterday as a driver, and Chae Byung-do behind him. Let's see what they've got. Fast start for Israel, 5:19, and for Korea, 5:03. So a handy 1600ths advantage as they sit down. Through 3 to 4. Voice the little tap into 4. You'll see lots of sleds taking that. And down into the upper labyrinth. Through corner 10 and into 11. Gets out, hits 11 to 12. That's usually a sign, that square tap, that you've got 11 rightish. A little late, 13 to 14. Track may be quicker than it was in training. Good speed, 69.6 miles an hour. They'll be doing 73, 74, 75 miles an hour at the bottom. 76.7 it is at the line. 7:28. Gooning in the coach's box never gets old for brakemen. You can take the boy out of the bobsledder, you can't take the bobsledder out of the boy. Well, good strong start, 5:03. We got down into the 4.9s and I think 4.8, yesterday. 49.98 starts. We had, do we have 48s? 4.8s, yeah, 4.92, 4.83 for Francesco Friedrich, the fastest starts. Right, next up for Canada, Pat Norton. Shane Alt onto the back of the sled to make his two-man World Cup debut. New boys to the team this year. Not his first senior two-man start, because he raced in the World Championships in Winterberg in two-man in 2024. Lucas Stoikos was on the sled yesterday, so Pat, like almost everybody else, making sure that both brakemen who race this weekend get a chance to rest and recover. 5:02, a whisker in front of the Koreans. Nicely through 1 and 2, little square tap into 4. The 5-6 transition, getting onto 6 is always a little bit of an abrupt one. Always looks like they've got it wrong. Out of corner 10 into 11. Holds the line nicely. Nice 11-12 transition. Now, can he get 13-14 nice and tidy? Yes, he does. Nice and quiet. Came out a little low in 14, tapped the wall. Onto 15, good height. Nice clean exit. 2400s back, 3/10ths back. And a 50.45. Now, Pat Norton, like Taylor Austin, like Jeff Gabwa, very low on knowledge of this track, and as a result, it is possible that they've gone for a slightly narrower runner, set up more for control than for speed, because after all, you don't need to come to Sigulda, any of them, to find out that a crash isn't fun. What they need to do is survive here with as many points as they can get, and everybody all in one piece. So Pat Norton never raced here before this weekend. 6 trips in training in the two-man, and that's your lot. They raced yesterday, of course, racing again today. He'll have felt conditions slightly different, but it is drive and survive this weekend, and then a few days off. Next up, our second Korean sled, Jin Su, the more experienced of the drivers. This is his 31st two-man World Cup start. Kim Sun-wook behind, making only his second World Cup two-man start. And Kim with Lee Hyun-yu behind him yesterday. Same deal, keep them racing, but keep them rested as well. 491, big start. And that'll be within a 10th of the fastest in the field, I would think. 1800s up on his compatriot, Suk Yun Jin. Good speed, 62.8 miles an hour, quicker than Suk. Pat Norton was quickest here at 69.7. Whoa! Late off 14. He was quicker than Norton, 70.3 miles an hour, but some of that speed will have gone away down the stretch. And 1400s up at the line. Still, this first sub-50 run. But that will have been a heart-in-the-mouth moment for the brakeman. Look at Kim. We're talking tiny misjudgments here. This is the 13-14 crossover. Drops a little in 14. No, that's 12-13. This is 13-14. Dropped in 13. Almost rolled it into 14. And then out of 14. Sled is climbing. And luckily it comes back upright. That would not have happened in 15. All right, every run can't be perfect. You strive for it, but you know in your heart of hearts it ain't happening, even if your name is Francesco Friedrich. Now, speaking of all-time greats, Friedrich probably eclipsing the greatest of them all. Before him, Eugenio Monti, Italy's last Olympic bobsleigh champion. Let's Let's see what Patrick Baumgartner, their next hopeful, has got. 4:98. That's a good start for Baumgartner and Rob Messiah. Messiah on the sled as he was yesterday, making his 25th two-man World Cup start. And Baumgartner his 54th. So Rob Messiah has been with Patrick almost half of Patrick's World Cup career. Good speed. And that should bring their 1/10 of a second margin down. If he can be clean, 13-14, it wasn't bad. Decent out of 14, not great. He had better speed. The gap's down to single digits. Should be enough to take the lead at the line. And across the line he comes, 49.86. Just 400s in it. The speed differential was tiny. Less than 1/3 of a mile an hour quicker at the bottom, but 77.2 miles an hour. They are motoring on. And this is in a sled where the contact patch of the runners on the ice is about the width of your first finger and the length of it. That's about how much of the runner really touches the ice, because they are bowed very slightly along the bottom edge. You need some contact patch. What you don't need is the whole runner on the ice. So Patrick Baumgartner leads from Kim, Suk, Norton and Edelman. 5 down, 20 to go in the first of our 2 heats. Next up, Frank Del Duca. And Del Duca having a really good season. 2 4th place finishes, and a 5th place yesterday. A 5th and a 4th and a 5th place yesterday. Del Duca absolutely flying. Hunter Powell behind him. 2nd World Cup start in 2-man for Hunter. Josh Williamson was on the sled yesterday. And Powell, new to the program, made his debut in Cortina. They get away in 4:96. Now, I already know that everybody will be checking against what they did yesterday compared to what today's brakeman did. And Josh Williamson will be pleased that he did a 4:93 in the first push yesterday. 300s up. This is going to be a tight race. Just a little late, 13-14. Late flop as well. Only the 3rd best speed. 200s back. He's not going to stay with Baumgartner. Kim is only 400s back. This should be 3rd at the line. Suk 1800s back. Whoa, only 600s back. He brought it right in those final couple of corners. A good 15, nearly crept in front of Baumgartner and Kim. But the top 3 now covered by 600ths of a second. Still are 3 German sleds to go and a bunch more contenders like Mickey Vogt, perhaps Brad Hall, Marcus Treichel. But this should be a top 10 run for Frankie. Again, 13-14 transition. The speed they're doing, really quite hard.
The guys are too good.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, the guys are good. Frankie, 5th, 4th and 5th. The guys aren't that far away. Now, talking of Marcus Treichel, he had Sasha Stepan on the sled yesterday. Today, Dahan, Nikos Bardi. Dahan making his 7th 2-man World Cup, one of which was here in last season's double encounter. It's always double 2-man here. The track is just too small for a 4-man. Sasha Stepan yelling them off at the top and then going quickly to look at the start time. 4:97, that's a great getaway again for the Austrians. Nice and clean in the first couple of corners. 4:89 in the first heat with Sasha yesterday, so nearly a 1/10 of a second slower. That means he'll have more work to do as a driver. 5th best speed, he's only the 7th sled down. Not bad, 13-14, little late flop off 14. Down the straight into 15. Height's okay, exit is good. Out to 2700s back. And this will be 5th at the line. 50.20. 3rd fastest start, but 5th at the line. 100th behind the quick starters. 491, 496. 100th behind Patrick Baumgartner at the start. 100th ahead rather about Baumgartner at the start, but losing over a quarter of a second to the leader. And that is going to leave him some way back. All right, 6 sleds down, 7 sleds down, beg your pardon, and we get to Great Britain's Brad Hall. There he is, and Greg Cackett on the back of the sled. Yesterday, rugby player Ollie Butterworth was pushing. Greg's 19th two-man World Cup. His last was in St. Moritz in January. And Greg and Brad have teamed up for 5 races here. 3 silver medals on this track for Brad Hall. 1 with Greg Cackett, 1 with Nick Gleeson, and 1 with Taylor Lawrence. 497, good strong start. Boys still recovering their fitness. Tied for the lead with Patrick Baumgartner. Good two-man result here will really give Brad Hall a boost going into the Christmas New Year break. It's not a long one. They'll be back on ice before January the 1st. Little late 13 to 14. Good exit out of 14. Second best speed, having to wriggle it down the straight. A 10th back. Good out of 16 as well. Still second best speed. 1500s back though. At the line, 1900s back. Drops to 5th position. It's a very tightly packed field. Again, just steering it all the way down the straight, 14 to 15 and 15 to 16, and all of those little runner movements taking speed away. So here in 11, see the brakeman buried in the back of the sled. Little late off 11, flops into 12. Late on 12, 13 and 14. Comes out of 14 now, watch the runners. Steers away from the wall, steers back towards it. Steers away from it, steers back towards it and away. And a little runner check and another. And all of those tiny movements are hundredths of a second. Our first German sled then is a multiple medalist on this track. Johannes Lochner finished in the silver medal position yesterday. His 4th silver medal on this track. And he has had 3 wins as well. Won race 2 last year with Jörn Wenzel. He's won 2 with Georg Fleischhauer, who's behind him today, after Torsten Margis made his 2-man return yesterday. In and down, Georg Fleischhauer, 485, huge start from the big man and from Hansi. Gives him every opportunity to swing in amongst the medals again. And he would love to take a win here and head into the Christmas break with the gold. Oh, big height. Goodness me. Little tap there, 11 to 12. He's really letting the sled have its head, really letting it fly. Out of 14, good. 2700s up, 71.3 miles an hour. He'll be over 78 miles an hour at the bottom, 78.4, and across the line, 49.40. I don't know what that felt like in the back. And I don't know whether Hansi felt he really had that all the way down or not. But boy, the big loop in corner 10. He's such a field driver. I mean, they all are, but just sometimes he lets the sled fly and you go, oh my goodness. That was one of those. Out of 14 though, watch the runners. The tiniest of little encouragements away from the driver's right-hand wall and over to the left-hand side. That was chef's kiss. So, from Johannes Lochner to the local hero, one of the 2 now, Jakobs Kalenda. Just 23, 32-year-old Edgar Zungas on the back of the sled where Mats Miknes was yesterday. One goes in only a 6 two-man World Cup. None of them here, surprisingly. A 492 getaway, so any 700s behind Lochner. Home ice, where he learned to drive a sled, where he learned all of the tricks. Nice smooth 5.6. But he can't rein it in. He's got to do what Lochner did, which is just nudge it in the right direction and let the sled do the work. Good 11-12. What about 13-14? Late on 13. Straight out of 14. Speed's gone though. He's driving it too much to hold the line. Late off 15. Comes down with the shiny side still up, but it's not going to be top 3 at the line. 50.03. 200s ahead of Brad Hall. And actually for Brad, that's a good mark, because this is a guy who knows this track. All right, he didn't have a great day yesterday, but he knows this track. And Suk Korea is 100th behind Kalenda, and Brad Hall is 200s behind Kalenda. Look at 15, good height, a fraction early. Then he holds the height up, watch the runner tips. Now he had a little steer and then allowed it to come straight. Just probably needed a fraction more, because as he flopped, the sled started to skid. But a big favourite with the crowd. They love their sliding in this town. Hansi Lochner leads from Patrick Baumgartner and the Kims of Korea. So 10 sleds into our field of 25. Next up is Mickey Vogt. Again, Andy Haas behind him yesterday. Amadou Ndiaye is on the sled today. Only his 3rd two-man World Cup start. 495. Amadou has only raced a two-man sled in Innsbruck before, so this is going to be very different. It's like the difference between hanging on the washing line and being in a tumble dryer. 10th back at the start, 2 tenths back now. Mickey needs to work some magic from here on down. Into 10, 6th best speed. Nice corner 11, fraction late off. I feel the track is running a little quicker than it was yesterday. Good exit out of 14, nice line into 15, good height. Brings it out clean, 3rd best speed. Was 3 tenths back, is 4 tenths back now. How close at the line? He's 4th. But still 5 tenths back. There are some big margins. A part of the problem is that Johannes Lochner is 4600s ahead of 2nd. So Mickey Vogt, in fact, is 500s off Baumgartner, who is currently 2nd. 2 German sleds still to come, and a couple more who might put a spanner in the works. It could well be a top 6 run. Mickey Vogt's in 4th place at the moment. Little bump there. You don't see too many sleds hitting that. He was unfortunate. Our 2nd German sled is Adama Moore. Joshua Tascher, one of Hansi's crew, joins him. Benny Hertel was on the team yesterday, and the German coaches starting over the last couple of weeks to move brakemen around in 2-man and 4-man. What you want is the best possible combination on each sled, in 2-man and in 4-man for each of your 3 drivers. And there's pretty much no question, I think, that Amor will be the 3rd driver going to the games. Others are still competing in Europe Cup and earning points. I don't see Max Illmann or Hans-Peter Hannighofer replacing him, to be honest. Skid early on is going to take speed away. He's gone from 100th back to 1600s back. This will be more like a 1/4 second adrift, if not 3 tenths. Only the 10th best speed. If you give speed away early on, you never get it back. You just don't. There's too much happening on this track. Good exit out of 14, still only 6th best speed. The Germans, incidentally, running old FES sleds, not this year's brand new ones, because like racing NASCAR, Bristol on a Saturday night, you don't take the good stuff just in case you wreck it. And this is Olympic year. You don't want to be crashing the brand new sleds. Let's face it, last year's sleds, not much wrong with them. Not much wrong with them. They swept the podium in the World Championships, so, you know, pretty decent. Good start. A 486, not quite enough at the bottom. Well, Joshua Tasha has been on the podium here before, took a bronze with Max Illman back in the 21-22 season. This man was the silver medalist then, behind the winner Johannes Lochner. That was Hansi's first win here. That was with Alex Schuller. Schuller was on the back of the sled yesterday. Tim Becker moves into the sled. He made his World Cup debut in Innsbruck with Adam Amor. And this is his second World Cup start, his first with Francesco Friedrich. So Friedrich, yesterday was his 9th two-man win on this track. In and down, 486, another strong start. One and two, nice and clean, through 3 to 4, tiniest little rub. From 100th back at the start to 200ths back. And that's about as much as they want to lose to Johannes Lochner. 300ths back, third best speed. Hansi was fastest all the way down. Little tap, 10 to 11, 13, 14, fraction late off 13. Oh, meandering down the straight from 14. Second best speed. 1100ths back. I mean, there's a yawning chasm to Baumgartner, who's nearly half a second back, but a wild 16 gives him a lot of work to do in the second heat. 49.67. In the leader's box, in the coach's box rather, with Matthias Herpfner was Alexander Schuller, the winner yesterday. Actually, only Schuller's third gold medal on this track, only. That's because we do double two-man races, and so often one brakeman does one and another does the other. So Alex only doing sort of half the races here with Francesco Friedrich. He's got a bunch of other medals, but we're talking gold here. Well, exit 14, it wasn't the tidiest, was it? Nevertheless, Friedrich, yesterday's winner, is in the hunt. Nobody else is at the moment. So now then, we move on to Mihai Pacianu taking the place of Constantin Dinescu on the back of the sled for Mihai Tentea. So Pacianu in only his 6th two-man World Cup start, his 3rd in Sigulda, and again, that's the double duty weekends we have here. Pacianu, of course, has slid here as a driver as well in the World Cup, as a skeleton slider for Romania in his previous incarnation as an ice warrior. 5:14 getaway. Mihai Pacianu finishing a strong 9th place yesterday. He's had some of his very best World Cup results on this track. 13th at the start. They were 19th at the start yesterday. Had the 8th best run in the first heat. 9th best speed. It's not quite the drive from yesterday. This is good though. Keeping the speed alive. 14, 15, 16. 7th best speed and at the line. Doesn't quite pick up a spot. 50.58 though. And so that leaves him 1300s behind Pat Norton in 12th place. Out of 14, nice and clean. Tiny little side slip, and see, even Mihai, who's not the tallest of athletes, slinks down under the cowl when he knows where he's going. You don't get many opportunities to do that here. See how much higher his head is out of 15, looking for the line over the brow into 16. Next up, Sung Kai Chi and An Tai. An Tai taking the place of Ye Ji Long, who was on the sled yesterday, and in only his 3rd two-man World Cup race. Made his debut here last year and then raced in the two-man in Cortina in November. Sun, his 27th two-man World Cup start. Let's see what they've got at the start. 4.90, really good getaway, 4th fastest in the competition so far. That's epic starting from the Chinese duo. Really impressive. Well, yesterday's race ended up with a tie for 14th place with Cedric Follador, who comes up next. They were tied for 13th in the first heat and ended up tied again in the second heat, and then they got jumped by Brad Hall, so they ended up both being down in 14th place. Started 4.96 yesterday with Ye Jilong. That extra 600s is going to help. 4th fastest at the start, but out to 12th place. Big looping 16. Comes across the line, 50.31. So 9/10s back. Ahead of Pat Norton, Mihai Ntea and Adam Edelman. And 1100s behind Marcus Treichel. Hall and Treichel now down to 10th and 11th. Little nudge away, 12 into 13. And then Latex at the 13. Airborne runners just got it onto 14 without the roll. Much later off 13. And it becomes a very different proposition. There's Sun. One more run to go, once more unto the breach. So Lochner, Friedrich, Baumgartner, the top 3, or Lochner, Friedrich, the top 2. Baumgartner leads the peloton. The breakaway group are a long way ahead, though. Next up, Cedric Follador, again tied for 14th with Sun Kai-chi yesterday. Yesterday, cancellation Jahr on the sled. Today, the slightly easier to pronounce Nicola Mariani. Nicola in his 5th two-man World Cup. 5.05 getaway. Bit of a thump. 3 to 4, and a rocky transition, 5 to 6 as well. Out of 11, again, a little late. So many sleds coming late out of 11, late out of 13. Good out of 14 though. 8th best speed. He's the 16th sled down. This is looking decent from Follador. 14th at the start, up to 13th on the splits. Does he get ahead of Sun Kai-chi? He does. 700s ahead of the man who he could not shake off yesterday. Frustrated with himself. You can hear the as he gets out of the sled. His teammate Melly Hasler got her second top 6 finish of the World Cup this morning, guaranteeing that that place is safe for the Swiss team, or for them. Swiss will, they'll be able to go and take up that allocation for Switzerland. And Cedric needs some of the same. The higher he is up the order, the more chance Switzerland have of a second sled. There's no chance of a second French sled. There isn't one at the moment. Roman Heinrich with Antoine Rieu. Roman crashed yesterday with sprinter Niels Blairon on the back of the sled. 10th two-man World Cup start for Antoine Rieu, his first for France. He's formerly with Boris Vian for Monaco. So Roman Heinrich, 4.99, that's an excellent start. Crashed, unfortunately, off 13 into 14 yesterday. Not bad, 5 to 6. 12th at the start, out to 15th on the splits. Out of 10 into 11. Nice 11-12 transition. And that gives him beautiful 13-14. This is what we expected to see from him yesterday. Nice smooth lines. Again, it may well be that they have just erred on the side of control rather than outright speed. He doesn't need to know what it feels like to crash. They felt that yesterday. 50.256 rather. So 200s ahead of Mihai Tentea of Romania. And 700s behind Pat Norton. Nice height, nice exit out of 15. Just the tiniest little bit of ice crystals flying up off the wall there. Although whether that was off the wall or being pulled out of the track by the 70+ mile-an-hour slipstream, hard to tell. But Heinrich is down safe, and that's good news for him. Next up, Li Chunjian of China. Yesterday with Ren Jiancheng, and today with Cheng Heng. Chen's 16th two-man World Cup. And unfortunately, his last trip down the track with Lee in race 2 last year ended up with them crashing out. Takes a moment to settle in the back, Chen Heng. 496. Little uncomfortable corner 3, giving speed away, and again the 5-6 transition, a little rocky. So the speed won't be brilliant. 8th at the start, out to 13th. Second slowest sled at this stage. (13 to 14, manageable. Exit of 14, not bad at all. So he'll limit the damage low down. But already out to 15th on the splits. Teammate Sun Kai Chi is in 13th, and he comes across the line in 15th. And he's 2/10 behind Sun in the battle of the national rivals. So 50.31 for Sun, 50.51. Dennis Minin's giving a little bit of feedback at the bottom of the track. Knee caught up at the start. Not a tidy load at all from the driver. And their strength conditioning and start coach demonstrations from Latvia will be all over that. Good run out of 14 though, but the speed was lost early on. Next up, 19th of our 25 starters, Dave Wesseling of the Netherlands, with Jelen Francic behind him. Was due to start yesterday, but didn't. It was Tim Acosta who took the start. Jelen now makes his 10th two-man World Cup getaway, and a 7th for his driver. 493 getaway, so a whisker quicker than the Chinese sled before them. That is the 7th fastest start so far. This is not their normal two-man sled. So undoubtedly a rental from somebody here in Latvia. Very likely a BTC, as they normally drive. But it probably feels a little different. 7th at the start, out to 16th place, and the 2nd lowest speed as well, and a huge skid out of 15. That is not going to help. Cranes his neck, looking around the corner for the exit, 50.67. Well, right now, Dave Wesseling with Adam Edelman behind him, but of our 25 sleds, only the fastest 20 go through. So effectively, he can't afford more than 2 of the remaining 6 sleds to go quicker than him. And that leaves him with a nervous wait to see whether or not he'll get a second heat. Long skid out of 16. Look at the way the tail of the sled breaks out sideways, slowing you down uphill. So our 20th starter is Switzerland's Timo Röhner. It's his 20th World Cup start as well. And Mathieu Hersberger, his brakeman, in his 6th World Cup two-man. Mathieu won race here last December. And this is his first two-man race of the season. In and down, nice looking load. It's a 5:03 start. So 16th at the start. It's a little rattly, isn't it? Very strange, hollow rattle coming from the sled. Not sure if anybody left a bag of spanners in the bottom of it, but it certainly sounds like it. 15 speed, it's not affecting his drive much. At least if it is, he's certainly covering up for it. 13-14 is okay. Good straight. Really does sound like he's towing along a bag of bolts, doesn't it, behind him. 15th of the line off the 16th best start. There's Tim Annan on the right-hand side. He was in the sled yesterday. But surely the driver must have been hearing that as well. It can't just be us, can it? Making a very strange noise compared to anything else, and certainly compared to Mickey Volksled. There was no sign of that noise on Volksled. So whether it's the brake mechanism vibrating or something else that is, it's leaving a very strange sound signature behind it. And of course, to create that sound takes energy, and the energy should be being used to accelerate the sled down the track. And that's why, apart from the fact that it sounds odd, that's why you try and trace those vibrations, because it's taking energy out of the sled and stopping gravity accelerating you as much as it could be. Now that vibration, the cowbell, that's the one we like. 20 sleds in, Lochner, Friedrich and the rest. Now then, the big deal is, can you get into the race? And this is where it starts for Jakob Mandelbauer and Daniel Birchler. Birchler in where Dominik Hanschitz was in the sled yesterday. Mandelbauer finished tied for 18th with Jeff Godbois. Godbois yet to go, so he made the cut yesterday, Jakob. 6th best start, 4:92. I mean, you cannot argue with that at all. Still 11th as we get down to the bottom of the labyrinth. If he can keep this together, although the speed's not great, he can be smooth out of 13 and 14, then that will help limit the damage at the bottom of the track, and he should be in. It's not bad, it's not great, but it's not bad. Clean exit out of 15, that's what he needed. Clean 16, he's in the second heat. He is 15th, he is definitely in, for sure. He's ahead of Röhner, Lee, Heinrich, Tentea and Vesselink, and Adam Edelman and Menachem Chen don't have to worry about whether or not they're going again. They will not get a second heat for Israel. And Mandelbauer is safe, he doesn't have to worry. He's tied for 15th with Timo Röhner, and so he will make the second heat. And off that start, 4:92, when you're starting 6th best, even a relatively new pilot here has got a great shot, and Mandelbauer seized it with both hands. Good work. So pressure on then. Dave Vesselink of the Netherlands is in 20th place. He's tail end Charlie as we get to Matej Behunek of the Czech Republic. Michal Dobesh on the back of the sled. Raced in Sigulda last December. It's Michal's 11th two-man World Cup. Andre Rupp was on the sled yesterday. And Behunek should make the cut here quite comfortably. 13th yesterday. 5:08, not a bad start at all. 20th at the start, but he comprehensively outdrove his start yesterday. Now, Mandelbauer yesterday was first off in the second heat, having been 20th, and was 19th off. But it wasn't quite as good a start draw yesterday for Behunek. He still made the best of it. Third in the first heat, had good ice and used it well. still in 20th place. 19th best speed at 15. Little meandery down to 16, comes in on the wrong side. And that's enough, I think, to take him out of the equation. It is 50.8. Not quite enough. So a little bit like Adele Nicol in the women's race this morning, that early ice, that gives you a speed advantage. It's almost like somebody gave you more top speed, because as the track frosts up, it takes speed out of the later runners. And so Matti Pehunek does not make it in. Dave Wesseling survives another 2 minutes. What did they start yesterday? 5 dead and 5:02. Starting 5:08, it's not that far away. And he wasn't that far away at the bottom either, but just not close enough. When was the last time you heard Avril Lavigne? It's been a while, hasn't it? Moving on to, is that why? Because she's Canadian, Taylor Austin. Is that what was going on there? Okay, Taylor Austin with Shaq Murray-Lawrence behind him. Keaton Brugling was on the sled yesterday. They finished 21st and he can't get in. Oh, and that's a real problem here because corner one comes at you very quickly. Now the push bar goes down. 5:05 was the start. Can he make it in? 19th at the start, already out to 23rd. And the speed is not going to be great either. That big, hard run round turn one. Hefty hit 11 to 12. 13, 14, not too bad. Nicely out of 14. Coming back to 22nd on the splits. Not sure he's got enough speed, even on the right side of 16, to make it into the top 20. He doesn't. 51.11. Well, at least he got into the sled. And for a moment, I wonder whether Shaq Murray-Lawrence thought he was or he wasn't. A sled might make its way down Winterberg empty. Not sure it's going to make it down here without a driver. Take a look at the start. Watch the brakeman as well as he's trying to load. Does he notice what's happening with the driver? No, he's still driving on, isn't he? Watch Shaq's head at the back. Catches both toes. Splits the difference as he slips over the cow. Shaq is still driving at the back. In fact, he's only just in as the drive lines run out as well. Shaq doing the 110 meters there. All right. So, next, Renars Grantins. Anis Bebris on the back of the sled. Laurens Kaufmans was on it yesterday. The 21-year-old from Latvia, only his 4th World Cup start. Can he make the cut? He was 20th yesterday at the end. Made the first heat, then slipped down from what was 15th in the first heat, slipped down to 20th place by the end of the day. A 15th fastest start, 4:99. And if anybody can make it in from late in the draw, it should be a local boy. 15th at the start, 15th speed. Little rocky, 11 to 12. Needs to be sharp here, little late 13 to 14. Needs a clean run down to 15, it's not bad. Speed's down to 20th best. Clean out of 16, come over to the right a little. Big first pressure, is he in or is he out? He is in. 50.62, and Dave Wesseling is out by 0.05 of a second. Woo! Edge of the seat stuff for Renars Grantins. And this is high and late. The 13-14 transition. And at that stage, the sled's just thrown off 13 into 14. Not much you can do other than accept it. You got a decent exit out of 14, and that was all there was. All right. 21-year-old is in. What about 31-year-old Jeff Gadbois, with Bryce Cheek making his second two-man World Cup start after making his debut in Cortina. Quentin Aurelio was on the sled yesterday with Gadbois. And Jeff, today, his luck in getting a top 3 random draw has deserted him. And instead of being in the top 3 as he has been on the 3 previous races this season, he is 25th and last, so the slowest ice. First time here for Gadbois. Have not raced on the track before this week. In and down, and the start is a 5:09. So he's going to have to drive himself into the race. 23rd at the start. All sorts of tapping and thumping early on. Taking speed out of the sled in 3-4 and 5-6. Oh, and very late off 11. Somehow that didn't go over. Late in 13. Clean out of 14, but has a big bump on the wall. And a big skid into 16. 24th best speed. And it's no second heats this time for Jeff Gadbois. And he needed that early start draw to have the speed in the sled. Still trying to figure out this track in his head. Just half a dozen runs before yesterday's race began. So this is only his 9th run down the track. Very late off 11. And then again, out of 15. Sled breaks into a skid. Taps the wall going into 16. That's that uphill section. It's uphill because the outrun of 16 is underneath it. So no second heat for Jeff Gadbois. He's at the tail of the field, and at the top of it, a tight battle, tight-ish, between our first heat leader, Johannes Lochner, and his arch rival, Francesco Friedrich. They're 2,700s apart. Anywhere else, you'd say, okay, that is over. On this track, never over. And behind Friedrich, another 1,900s to Patrick Baumgartner. From Baumgartner, okay, so Lochner and Friedrich are corners 1 and 2 here, and Baumgartner on down is every other corner. Here, there, I mean, the tiniest of margins till you get to Brad Hall, who's 1,500s ahead of Marcus Treichel, who's 4 ahead of Cedric Follador, and so on it goes further down the order as well. 18th place for Roman Heinrich, Mihai Tenter and Renos Grantins make the field. Vesselink, Behunek, Austin, Gadbois and Edelman's crews do not. So they will have to watch from the track side, and you can too as well, courtesy of this modern invention we call television. We'll be back at 15:30 local, 14:30 CET, 13:30, 1:30 PM Greenwich Mean Time, 08:30 Eastern for the final 2-man runs of 2025. Santa's on his way.